to Godot
So my talk about
3.5.
Godot 3.5 is going to be a lot less involved. Mostly because a lot of the things that are now new in 3.5, and there's a lot of new stuff in 3.5 that is very cool, is backported from 4. And so we've kind of already looked at some of it before. But there's some things I'm really interested about. So if you've got a little bit of time, you should pick it up. I'm not using it at the moment for battle tactics. Sorry, my brain went for a minute there, because I'm waiting for the new version of Godot Steam. But there's stuff in there that will be very helpful. And one of them is Godot 3.5 is using Godot 4's navigation system.
Nice.
So previously, navigation in Godot required you draw or have a navigation mesh, and then it will use pathfinding within that navigation mesh. And you can tell it choose round corners or not use round corners, and how big the agent has to be, and so on, which is great, but you can't really do it at runtime, which is a real problem if you've got any kind of changing level or obstacles or levels drawn at runtime. Like it's a real issue. And there's little workarounds you can try and do, but usually you just end up having to write your own thing or use A star. The new system, and I haven't played with this extensively in 3.5, but in 4, is you have a navigation agent. And that's now your NPC. And it knows it can move at this speed and it's this size.
Yeah.
And if it is within a navigation zone and it can connect to its destination, it will try and go there, and it will try and avoid anything you mark as an obstacle. And these navigation zones don't have to be one zone; they can be touching, so you can have pieces of the level moving.
Oh, that's cool.
You can add and remove obstacles as you go, right? Or you could say, okay, I'm going to remove this bit, rebake the level. Now that's a little time consuming, but you can do that. So there's a lot of really cool stuff you can do there. And I think I'm going to try and put a video together on that in the next few days. We shall see how I go. I'm really happy with the new navigation system. I want to get that into battle tactics. I want to get that into, well, it'll be in the Godot 4 action RPG and the stuff for the new Godot 4 basic to intermediate course that we haven't announced the name of yet, because we don't have that web page.
I don't know if I bought it.
Rediscovering Godot, not the name. Although it would be a good name.
Yes.
I really enjoy the new navigation system. It's fun to see NPCs sort of, or even your player character, if you click to moving out the way. I have done a quick video on that in Godot 4.
Yeah.
And a little while back. It's improved since then, I believe. Another thing I'm really interested in is this ability to, I forget exactly how it's phrased, but you can mark a node in your scene tree as effectively a wildcard node. So as long as it's got a unique name, you mark it as percentage node. And then in your script, you can just call it percentage text label or whatever it is. And as long as it's a unique name, it doesn't matter where it is in the scene tree, Godot will find it. Now, this does take more resources, so you don't want to do this with everything. But particularly when you're trying to put together an interface and you're constantly shuffling things around, that saves a lot of time. There's also, by the way, and I didn't know this until I saw GDE Quest video on it, really cool thing where you hold, I think it's Control and Shift, and drag a node into the script, and it just drags it as an on-ready variable.
Oh, that saves a lot of time.
Does it for you. Yeah. It might be Control drag, it might be Control Shift drag. Check out GD Quest video. Definitely worth it. So those are 3 things I'm really looking forward to. But the other one is one that I didn't know I wanted, but I do, is shader pre-caching. So Mikey, you know when we've been playing battle tactics, and we are on the lightning level, and every time the lightning goes the first time, what happens?
We get a small freeze as it loads.
So now you can set the option, and it will speed up some games and slow down others, to calculate all of the shaders before the level starts. So when that light suddenly kicks in for the first time and everything changes, it's already been calculated. So the level will load slower, but once it's running, it just runs.
Yes.
It'll help with particles. It'll help with lighting changes. It'll help with all kinds of stuff.
I mean, just having the stuff preloaded is awesome. I have actually registered it. So I did it on the 16th of June.
Oh, excellent. So does that mean we can start telling people at some point?
I think we should have a landing page, and then we can tell people. Otherwise,
while
it
we're
goes
talking
nowhere.
about Godot 4, alpha is due to go into code freeze, I believe, in the next couple of days.
Yeah.
With the idea of the first beta version coming out in early September. Want to point out, first beta version is not stable, right? They're telling us don't use this for production. So I will be using it to research and prepare and get everything ready, but it doesn't mean the courses come out in September. Like, if I record it in September, the course may as well be called Why You Shouldn't Have Taken This Course Yet, because we'll have to re-record a bunch of it. Yeah. And I remember when Godot 3.1 came out, 3.3 came out. Did a bunch of stuff in the beta, and then the actual interface changed. And all of the early stuff I did had to be redone because you can't follow that if you've never used the engine before. Like, the windows are all in different places.
So we've always got to be careful with that, and that's one of the things with teaching any bit of software. Software development these days means, in a lot of cases, things are getting iterated upon very quickly, and names change, or positions change, or icons change. And most students who are taking a course can accept, oh, well, that button's now orange instead of blue. Fine, off we go. Unfortunately,
there are windows on the other side of the screen.
Yes.
When you've not used that program before, that can be an issue.
Yes, I mean, it's one of the reasons I often get asked, especially with Blender, why do you just use everything default? Why don't you use like all of these add-ons turned on? I'm like, there's a reason. If I have an add-on turned on and I don't tell people it's turned on, then we have a problem. I will get tons of support requests essentially saying, oh, what does that window do? So I always make sure, even my screencast keys, I make sure that, oh, hey guys, this is how I install screencast keys. You might want it on yourself.
I always make sure I've got Godot in the default colors.
Yes.
The default window layout, because I would rather use a darker skin myself. But when I'm recording, I've got students who have never used this program before, who maybe aren't that familiar with basic game engines, or even possibly with computers. Like, they haven't used them that much, but they want to make a game.
Yeah.
I want them to learn, and I don't want that to be a barrier. So let's just see. This is what you will see unless you've changed the skin. And if you've changed the skin or your window layout, you know enough to know where everything is. So it's not an issue.
Yes. And when it comes to that, if someone's of an anxious disposition, they want to learn this thing and they're really unsure about their ability to learn, which a lot of people suffer from, opening it up and it looking different is a horrible feeling for that type of person. They will at that point go, oh, it's different. I must have the wrong version, and off they go and they don't learn, which is terrible. So we want to make sure that everybody has as easy of access into things as possible. I mean, one of the great things,
make it as easy as possible for people to get what they can out of the course. Like, our idea is very, I mean, it's usually called learner centric, but the idea is we want to make it as easy as possible for you guys to fulfill whatever potential you want to be fulfilling in a course. We don't want you to sort of guess what we're doing and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Is there a way to have separate profiles for Blender? One for add-ons, one for default for making tutorials? I can think of one way.
There is one way of doing it. There are actually several ways.
And non-Steam.
Yes, that's one possibility. Apart from the app data folder is the same for both. So that wouldn't give you separate add-ons.
Not if you force Steam to be using a different version.
That is true, which you might not want to do. So yes, you can have all of the versions of Blender installed on your computer, all with their own app data folder, which is absolutely fine. But one of the problems is making sure that if you've got two Blender 3.3s, how do you make sure that they have separate app data folders? And you can do that, and you can even do it on a portable stick. I think I've got a video on that on my YouTube channel. So I'll go find that in a moment and post that in the chat. One of the simplest versions is to either have two computers, which not everybody can do, but you can have two different users. So I on this computer here, I have a me and gaming, so my personal profile, and then I have my professional profile. So I simply switch profiles. And again, having the high RAM count allows me, going back to the hardware discussion, allows me to leave one of those open and running and hop between the two without too much of an issue. I don't need to worry because it just fills up my RAM, which I've got, so it can be filled up. But yeah, I would say that either follow the instructions that I will post for you guys in a second, or more simply, make sure you've got two user accounts and just switch between them. But I know that isn't always an option for people. Where just being, I don't want to do that is absolutely fine. So I should post that in a moment.